The MMA community never stops talking about which fighter is the greatest of all time, and today I'm going to give my thoughts on that. Today we're going to be ranking Tapology's top 25 greatest fighters of all time, and I'm going to be placing them in a tier list to figure out who I believe is the greatest of all time, or even just a straight top 25 list. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with 20 YouTube channels. So before you get all up in arms, keep in mind that this is just my opinion, and it's okay to agree or disagree. Crazy that we have to talk about with a tier list, but like I said, these choices are not mine. Tapology has rankings for the most upvoted greatest fighters of all time. This is the list they ended up coming up with, so we're going to be ranking them, okay? I have GOAT Contender, which is a possible greatest of all time. I'm open for a discussion on anybody in that list. Almost There is one of the great fighters, but I wouldn't necessarily call him a GOAT. Not quite. And of course we have NA, but we have those on most tier lists now, and I don't know why we would put somebody in NA. But not quite. If anybody finds a fighter in the not quite tier, okay, they are still a phenomenal fighter, and I could agree with most of these being the top 25 best fighters ever, okay? So not quite doesn't mean they're bad. Keep that in mind. Let's start with Matt Hughes. I think we're going to start off with a not quite, guys. Matt Hughes was a great fighter. It's just the competition level was totally not there. Totally not there, okay? Ilia Topuria. He has potential to be the greatest of all time, and if he goes up and he knocks out Charles Oliveira, we could even talk about him like being one of the greatest fighters already. But I can't with the resume that he's at right now. You could argue that he beat a past his prime Volkanovski and a past his prime Max Holloway, but Volkanovski did also come back and look phenomenal. So I don't know, Ilia Topuria is probably the weirdest placement because I could very well see him going on to becoming one of the greatest fighters of all time, but I'm not ready with the wins that he has right now to say, okay, this dude is in contender for the greatest of all time. He's had two really great wins, okay? I might move him down depending on who else is there, but I'm going to put him almost there, okay? John Jones, and of course, for this, oh man. Yeah, you know what? He's the only one on this list with PED failures, right? Right? NA. We're going to put John Jones in NA. Guys, if you cheat as much as John Jones, or if you cheat in general, I believe you have no business being the greatest of all time. With all the controversies that he's had, he's probably been roided up for more fights than he's been caught for. Pinch of salt in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. No, John Jones belongs in the NA. BJ Penn. The competition level, just like Matt Hughes. Like BJ Penn, everybody talks about what a marauder BJ Penn was back in the day. I disagree. He was a good fighter. The technique was there. If he fought the lightweights of today, they would kill him. They would kill him. And I know he's fought in multiple divisions, but I think that any division right now would beat BJ Penn. Like I'm talking about prime for prime, I don't think BJ Penn stacks up. I'm going to put BJ Penn. I'm going to put him behind Matt Hughes. Matt Hughes had the amount of strength and wrestling power that he had that I feel like could carry him in some bouts. So I'm going to put him in not quite, okay? George St. Pierre. Of course, GSP beat some really phenomenal fighters, and he's one of those fighters that people talk about where, like, if you place prime GSP with the contenders of today, and the reason we keep bringing up the contenders of today, of course, is because the sport and the fighters and the rankings, they evolve. The fighters, besides heavyweight and maybe light heavyweight, those fighters are a night and day difference, okay? I do find myself agreeing with the opinion that if you were to drop GSP in the contenders of today, I believe he could hang. Do I believe would he be champion? He'd be a contender. He'd be a contender, but I don't know if he would actually end up getting a title. So GSP is absolutely a contender for the greatest of all time. A lot of people believe him to be the greatest fighter of all time. Let's continue on to Stipe Miocic. Ooh, this is tough. You know what? I would love to do another video where it's like prime, like no matter what, prime fighters where they place on the GOAT list, okay? But Stipe Miocic. Ooh, he's definitely the greatest heavyweight of all time. I still think that Cain Velasquez would beat him if they ever fought, but it would be a very close fight. But he kind of ruined it a little bit towards the end. He's definitely not a GOAT. No, I'm not. You know what, guys? I'm going to put Stipe in not quite. Top and not quite. Because when we're talking about almost there, it's like, okay, this person just might be the greatest fighter of all time, but he's missing just a little bit that something like GSP had, okay? Merab Dvalishvili, he is absolutely a GOAT contender, and hear me out, guys. I know GSP went up a division, and I know GSP got the middleweight belt, and that's great. Merab Dvalishvili is dominating the toughest and best division in combat sports history with the most killers in it and the most technique, everything. Everything that you could look for in the best fighters in the world that the bantamweight division has, Merab is dominating it. He's not just winning, he's dominating it. Merab is I'm sorry guys, he's ahead of GSP in the greatest of all time. His wins have aged so much better. And I'm not saying that GSP didn't have any bad wins. He had a couple bad wins, but you get my point, okay? Merab is beating these guys in their prime. He's beating some of the greatest fighters in the world and making them look like they don't really belong in the octagon with him. Merab is absolutely a GOAT contender. Alex Pereira. I'd be having a different conversation with you guys if he didn't just get it ruined by Magomed Ankalaev, okay? Because we're talking about like all of the legends that he's beat. Oh, I don't know, but it's one loss. Oh my God. It's one loss. Dude, I want to make another video talking about like prime for prime, how these fighters match up. Like, is prime Alex Pereira the greatest fighter of all time? That's what I'm talking about, but we're not talking about that today. The greatest of all time, who is it? Alex Pereira is, I think he just got bumped down a little bit. He was almost there, but now I'm moving him into not quite, okay? He's going to be at the top of not quite, okay? Anderson Silva. I'm not on Anderson Silva being the greatest fighter of all time. His wins haven't aged well, and he would lose to a lot of middleweights today. He tarnished his legacy a little bit as well. I'm going to put Anderson Silva in not quite as well. Behind Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira, I don't know. He lost to Adesanya. He lost to Ankalaev. I'm going to put Anderson Silva ahead of him, okay? Islam Makhachev. Absolutely a GOAT contender. The fighters that he's beating are absolute legends. Hey, he has a win over, in my opinion, the greatest fighter of all time, prime Alexander Volkanovski. Is he ahead of GSP, though? Oh, guys, keep in mind, like, anybody in this row, you can swap for anybody. That's the special row. So, ooh, what do we want to do with Islam Makhachev? If he goes up and beats Jack Della Maddalena, then he's the number one greatest fighter of all time. Oh, man. I don't know. GSP had closer fights than Islam Makhachev. I'm putting Makhachev in front of GSP, okay? Daniel Cormier. He was almost there. He was almost a GOAT contender, but he ruined his legacy by taking on Stipe Miocic. I don't count those John Jones fights. He could have went down as one of the greatest fighters of all time. I'm going to put Daniel Cormier in almost there, right behind Ilia Topuria. Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. I know people like to talk about the fighters that he's faced, and I know I've discounted a couple fighters for their competition level, but he's also taken on, he's had some of the most technical fights in the world with another greatest fighter of all time, that being Henry Cejudo. He has taken on phenomenal fighters and won championship, and the technique that Demetrius Johnson brought to the octagon was evident. It's not like a BJ Penn or Matt Hughes. You just know by looking at Mighty Mouse and watching him perform that he really is one of the greatest fighters of all time. He is a new talent there. I'm going to put Mighty Mouse in the GOAT contender behind George St. Pierre. Charles Oliveira. If he would have kept going as a champion to beat Makhachev, he'd be up there. Too many losses. He's lost recently. He's going to be in the not quite tier. I'm going to put him right behind Stipe Miocic. Conor McGregor. Unfortunately, the losses also the same deal. Okay, lost to Dustin Poirier, lost to Khabib, and even though he could have went down as a greatest fighter of all time, he's not there. I'm putting Conor McGregor, double champion though. I'm gonna put him right behind Stipe Miocic, right ahead of Charles Oliveira. Now, Cain Velasquez, if he would have went on, man, like, okay, here's the problem too, because you have things like where Francis Ngannou, he was not healthy to take on Francis Ngannou. You know that. He lost to Fabricio Verdum. That was at elevation. There were a couple things about his fights where it's like, you know what? Maybe. Cain, though, when we talk about like, oh my God, this guy's a marauder. Cain is one of those guys. He's not to the level of Daniel Cormier. Well, I mean, like, if they fought, I'd pick Cain. But Cain Velasquez is going to go into the not quite tier, okay? But ahead of Anderson Silva. Israel Adesanya. Too many losses. He was on his way to being one of the greatest fighters of all time, but now he's suffered too many losses in his career. He's also going to be in the not quite tier, right ahead of Anderson Silva. Henry Cejudo, another legacy completely tarnished. He could have went down as the greatest fighter of all time. 2-division champion in two of the toughest divisions in UFC history. Beating, in my opinion, I know like we can count him out because the cheat, but TJ Dillashaw was one of the best fighters ever. If you want to like ignore the roids, Henry Cejudo could have went there, but now unfortunately he's just getting embarrassed. So he is definitely in the not quite tier. I'm going to put Henry Cejudo. This is tough. I'm going to put Henry Cejudo right behind the Bronx, okay? Jose Aldo, same kind of deal. He's taken too many losses. He came back, he tarnished the legacy a little bit. He's never been the same after Conor McGregor, but he is one of the greatest fighters. Like, this is why I think it'd be interesting to also make a video on, like, what if all of these fighters went together in their prime? Because Jose Aldo would definitely be near the top, but I'm putting Jose Aldo also in the not quite tier. Does he have a better legacy than Conor, Charles? He maybe. No, I'm going to put him right behind Conor McGregor, okay? Alexander Volkanovski. Ooh. Okay, the Islam Makhachev fight. They're the fights. No, the first Islam Makhachev fight, people think that he could have won that fight. I thought that he won the fight when I was first watching it. I rewatched the fight since then, and I do believe I gave a slight edge to Islam Makhachev. That fight only raised his stock. The second fight, took on short notice, got knocked out, little bit of aura loss, but then Ilia Topuria finished him. But now, he bounced back and looked like prime Alexander Volkanovski again. I think that if he continues his career and keeps winning, he can get back in the talks for the GOAT contender, but he recently got bumped down a little bit. I'm going to put Alexander Volkanovski in almost there, right behind Ilia Topuria, okay? Khabib Nurmagomedov, GOAT contender. I know he doesn't have the resume that some of these other guys do. He beat a couple really good contenders, but the problem is, it's like I was talking about with Mighty Mouse. You know, with Mighty Mouse, when I talk about the technique and just watching him, you can see the greatness. Khabib dominated people. He did not have close fights. He lost, was it one round that he lost? And I don't think he's ever bled either. I think that's the thing that people say about Khabib. I can't remember Khabib ever bleeding. But he has taken on some good fighters. He just, it's not good enough to the point where I can say, okay, you're better than Merab, Islam, maybe GSP. I'm going to put Khabib in front of Mighty Mouse. Do I want to put him in front of George St. Pierre? I do. The domination was something like we've never seen before, and we still haven't seen that, okay? Let's continue on to Fedor Emelianenko. People like to talk about him being the greatest fighter of all time, the greatest heavyweight of all time. But guys, the wins that he had just doesn't stack up. He was a great fighter, and he was ahead of his time, okay? The wins and the names do not stack up. I don't even think he's almost there, guys. I think he's in the not quite tier. I'm going to put him ahead of Cain Velasquez. I think he's going to run the not quite, okay? Continuing on, Randy Couture, more of the same. Look at the names that he's beat. Very few of them are something to go, oh, look at that. Look at that, eh? We're going to put Randy Couture. BJ Penn needs his own tier for the amount of fights that he lost, but I'm going to put Randy Couture right ahead of Matt Hughes, okay? Let's continue on to Kamaru Usman. He was on his way to being one of the greatest fighters of all time. He was the pound-for-pound number one for a while. But he's losing. He's had close fights against contenders that we have overhyped in the past, Masvidal, Colby Covington, and maybe he just wasn't as good as we thought he was. He was dominant, that's for sure. And now that he's losing fights, now that he's not going to be the same guy, I don't know, man. I hate to say it. He wasn't almost there, but I'm going to put Kamaru Usman in not quite, okay? I'm going to put him right. Do I put him? Ooh. Do I want to put him in front of Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira? I'm going to put him right behind Alex Pereira, okay? Dominic Cruz. Something that I oftentimes say on this channel is that I believe Dominic Cruz to be completely overrated. His wins are overrated. He's not the greatest fighter. He's not the greatest fighter, and he's not the greatest bantamweight of all time. If you drop prime Dominic Cruz into the contenders today, he would get mauled. He would get pieced up. He would get destroyed. Dominic Cruz, though, with the way that he ended his career, he's not, I don't even think he's almost there. He's in the not quite tier, okay? I'm going to put Dominic Cruz, but he still had a really, really great career, though. I'm going to put him right behind Stipe Miocic. I'm sorry, guys. I don't think he's there yet. And then Max Holloway. He's crazy. He's still improving. He's still having a fantastic career, and he's still one of the greatest fighters ever. Dude, I don't know. I kind of want to put Max Holloway really high, but he's definitely not almost there, so he's also going to be in the not quite tier. Ooh. Oh, he's been looking good, man, but he just lost to Ilia Topuria. That put a little bit of a stain on it. He was on a really cool, really fun win streak. He lost to Volkanovski 3 times. I'm going to put Max Holloway right. I don't know. That's a tough one, too. Do I want to put him in front or behind Kamaru Usman? That's where I want to place him. I want to put him in front of Kamaru Usman. Yeah, right there. Right there. That's what we're going to roll with, guys. So this is my what's probably going to be controversial list. My face cam is covering Conor McGregor, Dominic Cruz, and Stipe Miocic just a little bit. My greatest of all time contenders right now are Merab Dvalishvili, Islam Makhachev, Habib Nurmagomedov, George St. Pierre, and Demetrius Johnson. Anybody in this row, I believe, can be swapped around. Okay, so it's very important to keep that in mind. I am going to be making a video talking about who was the greatest fighter, like prime, ignoring the records. If they were all to go up against each other, who is the greatest fighter ever? And I can't wait to make that video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you are interested, check out this other tier list video we made. We have lots of them on the channel, and I'd love to have you over there. Thank you again for being here, everybody. Take care, guys.